So on apparel, on fashion, everything starts with the fibers, okay? And denim, of course, the same. Everything starts with the fibers. We have on denim a kind of advantage is that we are very flexible in the type of materials we can use. While cotton is, of course, the king of the fibers and is the reference, and it represents 95% of all the fibers used on denim. Let's say there is room for exploring other fields, for exploring other fibers, because denim is about innovation. Denim is about evolving. Denim is about taking things and put them into the article to make something new, something different, something looks special, something that washes down in a different way. And for that, there are many options. So my presentation here is to give you a short update, a short introduction of what is available out there at the present moment, so that you can use for creating, for making something different to what has been standard for many years. So if we go for plant fibers, because we are going to discuss only natural fibers, plant fibers, you can see just a selection of fibers that you can find in the market. They're used for different applications, and they go from bast, which is a term that is not properly defined, but they are mainly steam fibers that come from the stem of the plant. You have leaf fibers, but to me are also kind of bast fibers, but you can use leaves to create new fibers. Fruits can also give us textile fibers to use. Seeds, this is where cotton belongs to. Cotton is a seed fiber. It comes from the bud, and we have fibers from this. And then we have stalk fibers that they are mostly from small trees or other type of plants. So you see bamboo, for example, or rice straw. Rice straw is a very good fiber. So all this is a selection of what is possible. So plenty of things to work on. So everything on a textile cellulosic vegetal fiber goes around the cellulose. Cellulose is this big molecule you can see here. So it's a polymer. So it's formed by the repetition of monomers, small structures that are repeated n times, and the monomer that is repeated over and over is the glucose. Glucose is that thing that you can see here with a lot of OH groups and CH2OH groups. You repeat that, and then you get cellulose. So cellulose, in that respect, technically speaking, is a polysaccharide. It's something that saccharides sugar, glucose sugar. So the cellulose is repetition of sugar, so it's a polysaccharide. It's a very long molecular chain. So what is the cellulose coming from? Well, cellulose can come again from different options. You know that most of it that comes from plant and plant residues. So examples are cotton and hemp and flax, linen and jute here, but they come also from wood in different ways. Wood is a very important source of cellulose for different applications. One is, for example, paper, but also on regenerated cellulose, lyocell's and viscose. We will speak about them later at the presentation. The wood is part of the raw materials, the feedstock used to produce these fibers. But cellulose is also produced by, for example, algae. Algae produce cellulose as well. So people thinking that cellulose is only cotton. No, forget about it. Cellulose is everywhere, produced by algae. It's also produced by animals. The tunicates, there's a kind of vase. There's a marine animal. It's a kind of vase on the sea. And it's a very simple animal. The water flows in and flows out, and the animal keeps some nutrients to live. These animals also generate these polysaccharides that you have seen. So they are cellulose generators. And the most modern way of generating cellulose is, of course, by bacterial activity. You can produce almost anything with bacterial fermentation, bacterial activity. At the present moment, this type of cellulose is mostly used for what is called nanocellulose, which is a very special type of cellulose with wonderful applications, not yet ready to be used on apparel, fashion, denim. It's a more kind of technified type of material, and is that is useful as an advanced material for some applications. For example, the nanocellulose generated by bacteria, they are used as a pharma applications and medicine. Okay, so cellulose is everywhere. So okay, so I mean, we have a plant, and okay, we know that we have cellulose. So how things go? I mean, how things look like? Well, actually, when you take a plant, wood cell, you have three type of ingredients on that plant. One is the cellulose itself. You can see these nanotubes that you see. This is the cellulose, but there are two other ingredients on the plant. One is lignin. When we speak about lignin, think about woody, something like wood. Okay, lignin, and hemicelluloses. Hemicelluloses are still saccharides, but of much shorter molecular chain, molecular length than cellulose. They are like a unfinished cellulose chains. Okay, all these three ingredients are together in the plant. So inside, so when you have the cellulose, removed away from the lignin and hemicellulose, this is the way things look on the fiber. You have like a long tubes of pure cellulose. When we have a cross section of the plant, what we see is the lignin outside. Remember, is a kind of, the lignin is outside like a tree. What you see on the tree outside the bark is lignin, and the inside is where you have the hemicellulose, and these small dots, gray dots, is the pure cellulose. Okay, the balance between lignin, hemicellulose, and cellulose will determine things like rigidness, resilience, mechanical strength, things like that on all the fibers. Okay, so the balance of lignin, cellulose, cellulose is lower but still important, is what makes cotton different to hemp, or different to kenaf, or different to other fibers. Then when you see the longitudinal section, and we have the nanofibrils of cellulose, the difference between crystalline and amorphous, this order is amorphous region, is that the disturbates, the chemicals that link to the cellulose, are fixed on the amorphous region. Okay, so when a fiber is very amorphous, there's more points for a disturbed or for a chemical to link. So it's very important that the cellulose has a good balance between crystalline, that gives strength and nice performance, and amorphous, because the amorphous parts are those that take the dice. You can die because they're amorphous areas. So how to convert cellulose into something different? Okay, we have basically three lines. One is a allomorphic modification. This happens when you make a mercerization or an alkaline treatment with an alkali, with caustic soda normally. That changes the cellulose in a way that you produce a different type of cellulose. It's called cellulose 2, cellulose 3, and cellulose 4. This is most of it is a variation of the morphology of the fiber. Okay, the fiber is no longer like a bean. It becomes a round, nice cylinder, and then the fiber becomes more stronger, brilliant, very high tensile strength. So this is one option, and this is done when the fiber is already formed, when the cellulose is already available. We can dissolve the cellulose using a solvent. There are many solvents. We can also come back later to that. We precipitate that solution, and then we obtain what is called regenerated cellulose. So we can take the cellulose from different sources, biomass, garments, used garments, rugs, and everything. They cannot be converted into a yarn as they are, because they are pieces of fabric with no use. But we can dissolve all this and then make a extrusion and obtain filaments of cellulose. This cellulose is called regenerated. We have dissolved the cellulose and we have partially regenerated it. The last part is to modify, or the last way to produce something based on cellulose is by chemical modification. So you have seen on the molecule of cellulose there are different groups, OH groups and CH2OH groups. We can modify the molecule of cellulose by putting other chemical groups on it, which converts the cellulose into something totally different. It's still cellulose, but these chemical groups are modifying the character of the cellulose. Okay, so here in the chemical modification, there are many possibilities to work on it. Okay, we have the grafting, we have hydrolysis, and all this. In the case that I'm going to introduce to you today, we are going is the process called acetylation. We're going to introduce acetyl groups into the molecule, and then we have something that is cellulose based, but is not cellulose anymore. So this is the feedstock for the production of different modified regenerated fibers. So you see what can be used to produce viscose, modal, which is a type of viscose which is modified mechanically, is modified. So it's a different fiber in terms of tensile strength, elasticity, resilience. It's a different fiber, but the chemical concept of the production is basically the same. Then we have the lyocells that are also based on cellulose pulp, and we are using a different type of solvent. So for every type of regenerative fiber, we use a different type of solvent. Acetate is included here, but acetate is not. This is something that the win information mentioned, but acetate is not a regenerated cellulose. Okay, it's a modified cellulose, just to be technically, technically speaking. And then cupro is another fiber. All these fibers were invented on the early years, 19th century, sorry, 19th century and early years of the 20th century. Okay, the chemists were discovering different solvents, and they were testing different solvents, and with every solvent they were, generating different fibers. Cupro is basically another solvent. You have a salt that is based on copper sulfate, and ammonia. This is a solvent for the cellulose, and that produces cupro-ammoniacal rayon, which is a wonderful, very luxurious fiber. I mean, absolutely gorgeous, but they're very difficult to handle and very expensive. And today is still used, but only for very, very special articles. So let's move to real cases. Okay. So on natural fibers, as mentioned, there are 4 sources. We have the seeds, we have the fruits, we have leaves, and we have the stem. We have artificial fibers that are produced mechanically, no solvents. They are produced mechanically. We have a fiber called spinova as an example. It's one of the many examples, but this is one of them. And I also included something called washi yarn. This is paper fiber produced in Japan, extremely luxurious type of fiber, produced in the same way as paper. And this is to produce shifu denim, which is one of the most luxurious denim and very expensive denim in the world. Then, okay, we can go for regenerated natural fibers, polymers, and then we have the viscose mentioned. We have a tensile lyocell as an example from Lenzing, and then the Infina, that's again one example from a Finnish company called Infinita. And then, as already said, there are fibers like acetate, which is a modified cellulose. We are including functional groups into the cellulose molecule. Let's take a look to some of them. Okay, so on natural fibers coming from seeds, okay, we have cotton, but in this presentation, I want to talk about kapok. Kapok is an extremely light fiber. I mean, it's very soft. It's that like very long staple limbs that, I mean, they float away. I mean, it's a wonderful fiber because it floats around the place. It's normally used for fillings because it's very, very warm and very, very nice. I mean, the handle is wonderful. And then, okay, it's something that can be used in combination with cotton because the kapok by itself cannot be spun. The stability of the kapok 100% is very short. It's not a very stable fiber on time. So you need to mix it with other fibers, and okay, it can be tensile for very soft drapey articles, or you can use cotton if you want to have a little bit more body on it. Kapok produces warm articles, very soft articles, and then okay, when you combine it with cotton or with other fibers, the performance of the material is good. I mean, it's quite good. Kapok is used for very special articles, especially on the very high end. Okay, this is for expensive jeans. As a representative of fruit, I'm going totally to the other side. Okay, we go to very rough, stirred, coarse fiber. We have the core fiber, which is the coconut, the coconut, the hair that is around the fruit. This is normally used for brushes and doormats and mattresses, sacking, because a very strong fiber. Okay, it is because the lignin in that fiber is 50%. Remember, I mentioned the importance of lignin on the performance of the fiber, on the rigidness of the fiber. Okay, coil fiber is one example. If you want to produce something that is denim, you can use coil fiber, but the suggestion is to blend it with again tencels, lyocells, soft cottons, things like that. Okay, because otherwise it's going to be very, very rough. But with a light balance between core fiber and the other fiber, you can get some good fabrics. To me, in my opinion, but this is this is for designers. This could be great for articles like jackets or dungarees. And again, you are using something that is extremely valid and valuable. Coconut fiber is also a nice fiber to work with. So let's think about leaves now. And on leaves, there is the king of the leaves, of the plant-based leaves, is the pineapple leaf fiber. It's a kind of, very soft, like silk. Actually, it's called Filipino silk. And it's very shiny and it's very nice. So this is used for making many things. It's used for producing innerwear, to produce very soft t-shirts. It's a wonderful fiber to work. You can leave it as it is for shirting or other articles, or the denim articles or articles in general that are not very heavy. But if you combine it again with cotton and other fibers, then you have the performance of the cotton plus the softness and the drapey character of the PLF. Other palms, in the case of the pineapple, one thing I want to tell you that has to be considered is the best fiber, the best plant to produce pineapple leaf fiber is not the plant producing the fruits. Okay, so when you think about pineapple leaves, you may think that okay, this is coming from the pineapples. It may, but it's not the best pineapple leaf fiber. The best pineapple leaf fiber is from plants that they are grown for the leaves. They are longer leaves. There is more fiber there. So I mean, you can use pineapple fibers from the pineapple trees, but it's not the best. It's not the best of quality. So look for real PLF from pineapple leaves plants, not fruits. And then, okay, there are other plants that can also produce this type of fibers, like, for example, date palm fiber. Again, very nice. There's a very nice fiber here. You see how it looks in, what is produced. You can spin it, no problem. And here there's an example of denim that is a very, very good combination because it's pineapple and banana. Okay, so this is how you call that? It's a fruity, fruity denim, something like. It's a fruit salad denim. Okay, a stem. On a stem, all the big fibers that you know, and okay, hemp is the king of the stem fibers, very well known. Mohsin will show you something at the end of this presentation. So we have hemp and kenaf. Kenaf is a very great fiber. Kenaf is the natural fiber that has a best balance between absorbed CO2 and re-emitted CO2. Okay, so the plant takes CO2 from the atmosphere and re-emits a little bit. So the balance, so as much as CO2 the plant can absorb is good to remove CO2 from the air, from the atmosphere. Kenaf is the best, has the best balance. Then we have jute, we have flax linen that we mentioned that. Flax is a great fiber. It's the oldest fiber that has been used by human. It has been used for more than 6,000 years. And today is still considered to be a luxurious fiber because of the availability and the price. It's a long process to be produced. It's great. We have raffia, which is a very strong fiber that can replace, synthetic polymers in certain applications. Raffia is very powerful fiber. Then we have banana and we have nettle. But Himalayan nettle is best. Okay, this is when you see a nettle, please refer to Himalayan nettle. This is the right fiber because European nettle is very short, is not good, but Himalayan nettle is a great fiber. So going to jute, there is keeping hemp because hemp is hemp is already in the market. Jute is again another fiber that has a high content of lignin. It's a good balance between lignin and cellulose. Jute is something like 15% lignin and 85% or 84% cellulose. Okay, so the chemical composition is that. Oh, it's more, yeah, exactly, 12% lignin. I'm right. And then it's used normally for bags and sacks and furniture and clothes. But combined with cotton or lyocellus, you can obtain, for example, this fabric that you see on the right side. Is an epi fabric. It's very nice. I like this type of denim, dark and nice. on the right of this picture, there is 100% jute denim. Okay, the 100% jute denim. This is something that is only for pure denim lovers, people that like to wear something rough, that will evolve quickly with you. I mean, you will get immediately the whiskers, the honeycombs on your knees and all that, because it's a very rigid fiber. It will abrade quickly to produce the effects. In that case, to make the jute a little bit softer, it went through a wash down process and a chemical treatment. Okay, that's why it looks, let's say relatively medium tone. The right jute denim should look like this. Okay, something strong and dark, and let the denim evolve by itself with the use. So the next one is banana. Banana is kind of silk. Okay, banana is an extremely tenacious fiber. I mean, it's very strong. It's not easy to break. Okay, it contains some lignin, 15%, which is relatively high content, and the production method is time consuming and is not easy. Okay, you have to cut the stem into pieces, and then you need to flatten up all these pieces, and then you have to scratch the fibers. And what you get is that thing in between. You see this plant here? There are no pineapples. This is the plant that is used for the pineapple leaf. The plant that should be used for pineapple leaf fibers. This is how banana fiber looks like, and okay, it's like a very fine. And this is a combination of cotton and banana fiber from Japan. They like this type of combinations. So a very good fiber to explore, and a very good fiber to innovate with different handles and different looks. Then we move to man-made fibers. Espinova is from a company in Finland, and then they use wood pulp, and also they can use cellulose from, let's say, other articles regenerated. The process is mechanical. They don't use any chemicals. They don't dissolve the cellulose. So they produce the fibers in a way that, okay, no chemicals are used. It's a fiber that has the touch of cotton, a little like bulky, a little bit, like heavy, but it's nice. And okay, it can be used for denim as itself or combined with other fibers. It's a good fiber. And then I mentioned to you earlier the washi yarn. This is washi yarn, and this is shifu. Shifu is the fabric. Again, a very expensive type of jeans from Japan using paper yarn. It's a wonderful fiber. Believe me, it's a great fiber. Very expensive. So normally, because of the price, it is combined again with other fibers, because okay, you feel a little bit the paper yarn, and the cost is kept at the logical level. So this is what I mentioned to you. This is a very schematic way to produce rigid cellulose. The wood pulp and the cellulose, the virgin cellulose, is diluted with a solvent. We produce what is called dope. It's a kind of very thick syrup. That thick syrup goes to the spinnerates for the extrusion. And then in the extrusion form, the fiber is coagulated. Is where the cellulose goes back to the original form, but on a different way. And then, okay, from that, the fiber is washed and spun. Okay. So here we have examples. There's one thing also you will hear. Viscose is the chemical name, okay? But in the United States, it's known as rayon. In Europe, rayon is something different. Okay, this is something that might be confusing. It's something about patents in the early years of the 19th century. But viscose and rayon in Europe are two different things. Okay, but in the United States, they refer to rayon. Okay, because that's historically how it is. So what do we have here? We have a cotton viscose pants from a brand called Icrix. We have a tensile lyocell pant from Bleed Clothing. And then we have 100% Infina from Weekday. Infina has one important performance, or one important feature, is Infina is a fiber that can be produced, but it can be stored as a powder. So you can store the Infina as a powder. And the moment you want to produce the fiber, basically you mix that powder with caustic soda, and then you can send that through the spinneret on the extruder, and you make the fiber. So it's a fiber that doesn't need to be, made on a continuous line. You can keep it as a powder, white powder, and make the fiber eventually. That has some logistic advantages. And then the sodium acetate is here. This is okay. Sodium acetate is produced by combining cellulose with acetic anhydride or glacial acetic acid. Glacial means that there is no water in it. So it's 99.9% glacial acid. And then they add some groups into the molecule called acetyl groups. It's extremely shiny fiber, okay? And on the acetates, what you have to keep in mind is that the acetate as a textile fiber is, the actual name is cellulose diacetate. What does it mean, diacetate? Is because after producing the fiber, you can neutralize some of the acetyl groups with caustic soda, and depending on the number of acetyl groups that you leave, you have different materials. Cellulose diacetate is what you know, textile fibers, as you know, as acetate. Then you will find another acetate that is a plastic, it's a hard, very hard plastic, this is triacetate, okay? So cellulose diacetate is acetate, known as rayon in the European Union. It looks like this, like a very shiny synthetic fiber. It looks like synthetic. And here you have an example. This is a Naya. Naya is from Eastman Company in the United States. And they have modified the fiber to make it stronger, and very important, you can wash the fiber now in a normal way, because the classical cellulose acetate had to be dry cleaned before, okay? But Eastman modified the cellulose and they achieved this Naya, which has a lot of, technical advantages to be used as a conventional fiber. So this is all from my side. I hope it's not too late. I hope that that's been interesting for you. If you have any questions, just let me know, please. And if you have any questions, not only now, during the day, during the presentation, if you want to know anything about these fibers, let me know. So my message is this: please explore. There are many more things. There are a lot more to explore out there. The nature is giving us a lot of possibilities, a lot of tools. Just go for them, use them, innovate, design. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miguel. That was awesome. And I don't think we've ever seen anything to that level before in any of the transformers, Catalyst and EDS. So you've done a fabulous job in this short amount of time. Couple of questions. Just a little fun little history fact. Paper denim or washi fabric that was actually used on a Levi's red collection. I think I used it back in 2001 or 2, something very early on. And also jute is grown all over Pakistan. So why doesn't one of the mills just do it as a jute project, own it? That'll be fun. And I've also used hibiscus. I've also used milk for making yarn. It's very strange what you can do with native.
You can use soya and palm oil. I mean, there are fibers everywhere.
Endless, yeah, it's endless. Just some fun slides. I don't know if like Joanne can spotlight me for just like 1 minute. I collect fibers. I love fibers. So I'm always, whenever I go to any mill or anything that I'm doing, I collect everything from any type of fiber. I collect it, and it's really fun. I've recently been going to a hemp field as well last week. I'll show you that one too. And it's an awesome thing to try and get even all the waste that sometimes is created from these fibers. They get used too. So it's always good to collect samples of things that you see. As a designer, it's quite awesome. And I'll just show you a couple more things that's really fun.
You have interesting things because I saw yak.
Yeah. I'm looking at everything. I went
Mongolian fiber. Yeah.
I went around France about 2 weeks ago or so, and I went with like Marmara Hemp, our friends in France, and I saw the entire process of how they get it from the bast fiber, from the stalks, and what it gets used in industry, what gets used for paper, what gets used for textiles. It was awesome. And then the last little thing to show you guys, which is always fun, and I hope some of our friends, if they ever go to a cotton mill, to try and see the cotton process is another awesome thing to do. The whole process from roving to, it's amazing. So
you can
unspotlight me now. But no, let's just see. I don't think there's any questions, but it's I think everyone's just a bit intimidated by it. But I think for you, one last question for you, Miguel. Obviously, natural fibers for you are really the things that we need to be looking at more, right? Because I know there's other fibers that are mixing polyester and like Dyneema. There is a place for those fibers for strong garments, but natural, right?
Well, I mean, the thing is that PET polyester, because when you refer to polyester, you have to mention what type of polyester, okay? Because polyester is a big family of things, of chemical products. So when you work with PET polyester, it's done because of the functionality. It's very strong, it's very powerful. You can dye it with very bright colors, which is an important thing for example, for sportswear, nice oranges and brilliant yellows. But actually, there are some fibers, as you saw, that they can replace polyester, at least on denim. without any problem. And use of banana, for example, or raffia, rami. I mean, there are natural fibers that, listen, they can do the job. We don't need the polyester for that.
I was WhatsApping while you're present. I was WhatsApping with like Laura from like 3x1, and she was telling me coconut. I was like, yeah. Speak to Miguel. So, you know, so expect an email from her about coconut denim, maybe, which would be exciting. But
we can live without polyester for certain articles. Okay, the moment you start including stretch, when you start including elastanes, okay, that changes a little bit because stretch and PT polyester have a kind of good partnership for the stretch, but for strength, for things that have to be strong and everything, we don't have to use PET. We have plenty of other possibilities. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and we have to move on. I'd like to talk about this endlessly with you, but that's why we started it. So Miguel, thank you so much for your time. Well, that was a proper masterclass, wasn't it? And I think it makes you aware that there's so many different ways of getting fiber. Like pretty much you can make fiber from pretty much anything. So it's just about whether if it's cost effective and if it's viable.